Yeah, alright to put us for. Alright, so I want this to go into there. It's going in. Isn't it? Yeah. It's just, that's mucho mayor. Have you ever tackled this one? Pretty sure that I removed this. Yes, I did. I just keep trying to remove it. Okay. Right, so in this part of the video, which is 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not going to run any machines or anything like that. I'm just going to show simply the other parts of the video that I didn't include the last time in the other video, so I can conclude this video for people. See, where I had explained previously, you will find, here's a good one, for example, scratch marks. Maybe it can be seen, maybe it cannot be seen. Yeah, there you go. You can see it perfectly there. Got some scratch marks from the abrasive sandpaper. It is 120 grit. It's not very abrasive, really. You can use wet and dry. In fact, I was using wet and dry for a little while. This is wet and dry, but a better, lesser abrasive wet and dry. But I like to do this stuff quickly, so I use the more abrasive. And as you can see here, this come to a high gloss, a very good shine. And that's because I used this after bringing it to this and that, you know, and yeah, I've taken it down using the nylon bristle and then putting it onto the buffing wheel. You just want to touch this for a few seconds, maybe like a second, 2 seconds. You're not going to see it come up on here. You're just going to want to touch it there. It's going to melt off a little bit. When you have too much, you're going to know, because you're going to see it flicking it off of the wheel. As you touch it to it, it means that it's not absorbing it anymore, and that's it. You have enough. So you just want to touch it just a little bit. It doesn't take very much to do it, but you're going to have to do it every time that you do about a 4-5 inch section, you know. When I use this Dremel tip, I'm not sure what grit this is. It's a very low grit, but I use it to take off the corrosion. You can see on this one, I've removed all the corrosion on this one, and then I go over it afterwards again. I go over it with this nylon bristle just to bring it to a nice smooth finish, and then I'll buff it afterwards on there. This side's not important. This side's the one that's important. This one's the one that you see. You know, for example, this one goes in here. It locks the window in place. Those are the ones that people see. The one that I'm going to see at least. And I want to see my boat looking quite nice. So, one thing that I wanted to patch up here is that this Dremel tip, I only use it for flat surfaces. Flat surfaces that when you get into, you don't have an angle. See, if you angle the Dremel, you'll put a crater. You'll end up with craters in your stuff. So, like, whoever did these polishings of these the last time, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, something like that, they left craters. They left some small craters in these. Now, one thing I want to point out, another thing, quite simply, see, I've already gone over this with 220 grit sandpaper. It's these corners here. It's difficult to see them a bit with the gloss or the shine or whichever you want to say it as. But I've come to use this Dremel. It's a very good Dremel, specifically for this kind of thing. It's this one. Don't exactly know what you would call it. It's a ceramic tip, maybe. It's a ceramic tip. Maybe it's a diamond steel tip. I don't know. I really don't know. Looks like it's a diamond steel. Probably a diamond steel. But even so, a ceramic would probably be okay. It would probably just get eaten away. You'd have to buy a new ceramic bit pretty quick. But yeah, I use it for the corners in here. You cannot get in there with that kind of thing. Or with this, the nylon bristle. And this Dremel and nylon bristle does nothing. This is impervious against the nylon bristle Dremel bit. So I have come to understand that using that ceramic or diamond tip or whichever it is, I can get into these corners real great and easy. You know, not really important once again. But one thing I know I'm going to have some minor problems with is getting into here. You know, that's not super important. I'm actually just going to go over this a little bit with some sandpaper just to bring it down to the metal so that the caulking can make a good bond. You know, I'm going to take off the oxidization. Again, just so that the caulking can make a good bond. Otherwise, here, I will take this right down to the metal. Once more, it is visible. So if I take this little window that's left here, put it into here, so you can generally see it. No. And then, so like I said, you can't see that there. You know, behind there, it's kind of hidden behind the caulking, but then once you put this in there, you do see the outer rim. So that will have to be polished once more. Like I said, this thing, Dremel, 220 grit sandpaper, polishing wheel, white rouge. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, pretty straightforward. But yeah, I use dish liquid. It's literally just Dawn dish liquid or any dish liquid that you can get from the store. You probably use clothes detergent, I don't know. But it just seems to do it, you know, with some water. I was in the beginning, in the very beginning, I was using bronze wool. But it doesn't work. It is excessive with the amount of force that you need to put into it. Then I came to terms with using 220 grit, so cheers to the 220 grit sandpaper. We're going to start this video again. I have an uncleaned porthole, and I'm just going to show how I do the cleaning process on this. Hopefully the camera doesn't shut off, keep shutting off, being strange and stuff, so. It doesn't shut off so far, so anyways. Use the nylon bristle brush. I actually just use dish detergent, simply. Yeah. With some water. You can't do it alone, you actually have to have water with it. Alright, so the cleaned version, this is when it gets finished. What you want to do is sort of wipe it off a little bit, you know, just to make sure you haven't missed any spots. And I missed some minor spots here, just like there. But it's not super important. You know, you will have to go over it a few times. On this portion, I've already started here a little bit. You know, I use 220 grit sandpaper, and I just run around the rim because this thing won't get into the rim. So I just run around the rim a little bit, and I'll show you that part. We'll get into that. Alright, so, yeah, still recording. My phone's a little cheeky, you know. Sometimes it stops recording. Sometimes it's okay. Yeah, you just want to sand around the rim like this. You don't want to sand too hard. If you sand too hard, you risk leaving scratch marks, you know, engravement marks. You know, if you have any corners on your portholes, don't round the corners. It's very important you try not to round the corners. So I'm just going to sand a small area here, just to show you guys. You know, I'm sure that there's some companies that I can send this to that'll buff it out for me, you know. But I'm on a budget, so it's just think of it as being on a budget, and then it becomes simply defined there. Yeah. Alright, so if we take a look here, you can see right away a big difference. Don't know if you can see it due to the shine from the light. Maybe I can block out the shine from the light a little bit. Can't really block out the light shine. Maybe if I take it off over here, you can see maybe. Anyways, because it can't be seen, I will describe it. As you know, sandpaper is abrasive. It does not gloss it. It leaves scratch marks in it. In this case, you cannot leave it like that. So, going over it with this once more, this nylon bristle, takes it back to a state like this. Don't know why. The nylon bristle has the ability to smoothen metal, but anyways, it does smooth it. And we eventually get something similar to this. This one's already been done. And it comes out quite nice around the edges, smooth. And then shortly after that, I take it into the corners. I use a Dremel. This is a steel bit. I don't always use the steel bit. Sometimes I use other bits. Just to get into the corners here of these. Very important that you use the Dremel, because you can't reach the insides of these corners if you don't use the Dremel. So that's it for that section of the video. And later on, I'll get into the explanation of buffing and how to get it to come out really nice. There's a small portion that was buffed here on this corner, and it came out fairly nice. So you use, not sure which this one is. It's White Rouge. It's a pretty good one. Seems to work okay. Used quite a few different polishes over the years for different metals. You know, stainless tubes and many other different things. And this one seems to work well for this, for the bronze. Right. So, after extensive work, they are finally polished, lacquered, and urethaned. Just using a not marine grade urethane and a not marine grade lacquer. Oh, look, a blue jay. Huh. I wonder if I can zoom. Don't think I can zoom. Interesting. Anyways, so I got these ones. So what I did is I used goof off, and I took off all of the, what do you call it, polish, like a lot of polish that gets left on them, and I took off all the polish, and oh great, there's some sanding marks left. You can see that in the sun. That's just too bad. I can't. Do I really want to do it again? Maybe I'll introvert 2 of them so that those are on the inside. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Because these go on the inside. They didn't come out all that good. For some reason it keeps bubbling and stuff. And these are on the outside. And whoever buffed these the last time, they left like channels in them. You know, I don't know if those are corrosion channels or if those are buffing channels, but they're really not so good looking. So, yeah, some of them have it pretty bad. Like this one up here has it really bad. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe I'll introvert a few of them so that the nice ones are on the outside and the bad ones are on the inside. I don't know. Depends who you are. Yeah. Alright, I'm still getting used to these settings on this camera. Maybe somebody can help me out with these settings. It's a GoPro 9. Yeah. Still some bits of the old caulking left on the deck from these portholes. It's like green caulking. Smells really weird. I don't know what it is. Anyways, I finally got these in, and they're not completely as satisfying as I would have liked them to have been, but I can't argue really. I got them polished up, lacquered, urethaned, and they're pretty good. I mean, I don't feel too bad about them. So yeah. This one, I've got to cut this one down. I couldn't get it. I got a bolt. It's different, but it wouldn't go in. The regular ordinary bolt that I had, machining screw, wouldn't go in, so I had to use something very different here. You'll see it from the inside. Yeah. This boat went from 0 to hero. Yeah. So it looks pretty good. I feel confident about it. Yeah. And yeah, so these are not finished. I mean, they're finished, but they're not completely finished. I need to get a rubber seal to go around the edge gasket, and that will be here tomorrow. I ordered it online and it's coming very shortly. So this is the one that I explained. I couldn't use a regular bolt because the holes didn't line up in the porthole. They were kind of diagonal, so I had to sort of, it's complicated to explain, I had to push the bolt down to make it line up with the hole. And with the machining bolt, it was almost impossible to get that kind of angle to force it. So I had to use a longer bolt. Now I'm just gonna have to cut that bolt off. Sad, but nothing's perfect. It's actually very difficult to get things to be fully perfect. Yeah. So my water tank works, filled it up, and then I emptied it out again. Because I'm not taking the boat out this October. I still got quite a few more things to do. I thought I was going to be able to take it out, but sadly enough, not so much. However, I did get all of the main things organized. So, looks like we're doing pretty good. Yeah. Like I said, 0 to hero.